Bada bing, bada boom. We're here. It's Tuesday afternoon. You're hanging with the Roll for Mischief crew, your favorite nerds, as I like to say. And yeah, uh, we're a tiny bit late, so I just want to get rolling on this on Roll for Mischief Day. Let's get rolling. So, really quickly, any announcements that anyone wants to say?
3 followers left to achieve affiliate status.
3
3
followers.
followers. Just bug one of your friends or your grandma,
Ooh,
or I don't care.
dude,
Just
do grandmas love D and D?
huh?
Grandmas love D and D.
Grandmas love D&D. I don't even care if they like D&D. Just like have them like follow us and then like turn off notifications.
Grandma, let me borrow your computer really quick. I'm gonna do something.
Hold on, Grandma. I need to make you a Twitch account because you obviously don't know how this works.
I mean, I don't want fake accounts.
Misfits.
I don't want fake accounts. I don't want like anyone to cheat their way. But it's kind of borderline if Grandma has an account.
We're not actually we're actually not condoning any of this. I'm the disclaimer guy. I come in and give disclaimers.
But yeah,
We're not
We are
advocating.
condoning grandmas being on Twitch, though.
in all seriousness, we do have only 3 more followers until we can hit affiliate status, which is when we can start providing, or we can start putting up subscriptions, so people can start subscribing, and we can start the process of maybe making money and being able to add to the shows, both here at Winds of War and on Mischief and Misfits. And there are conversations about one of maybe a few different other show ideas.
And it's value for you guys as well, for getting other people to jump on, subscribe yourself if you haven't already, to
Well, we
follow
can't
us on
subscribe yet,
Twitch,
but follow.
get us to this level. Because the more features and things that we have, the more options we have for doing entertaining things for you guys. Basically, what I'm saying is the nude Roll for Mischief Christmas calendar is off the table until we start hitting milestones.
Right.
See, I was working on that too. I was getting all ready for it.
And this also provides better opportunities if we for things like maybe we can work with Critter Hit It more, and if there's money involved, like when we can look at providing an incentive for having people recur and more often play more games to provide more content, because they have a financial, and their time that they're spending, their off time they're spending playing the game, like, will be offset by being able to make $10-15 per session or whatever. It's not a lot, but it's something that kind of helps bring, makes it more worth it. We can have, our goal would to be get Asa full time so we can make this channel a real thing. And so
and also just general upgrades and things,
right.
like the occasional buzzing on a microphone. We can get better microphones,
right?
More HD cameras and stuff, so you can see every single pothole and pimple.
Great
lighting,
computers
this
for
place over here.
Editing software. So all sorts of options are available.
Yeah. So cool.
Please help
Yeah,
us.
that's So yeah, if you have some friends that you think would really enjoy hanging out with us, we would love to hang out with them in a virtual kind of way and entertain everybody. So yeah, help us get 3 more followers, and we can do way more cool stuff for y'all.
Exactly. And watch Mischief and Misfits on Sunday.
Also
it's a pretty great game. Go to YouTube if you want to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun, and just when you think that you know where I'm going, you don't. So watch it and enjoy it. It's been a lot of fun.
For sure.
Another announcement, because I just want to like get this out there as much as possible. As much as our viewership, I imagine, is mostly American-based and not British, everyone buy a plane ticket to the British Isles. It's fine. There's no political turmoil here whatsoever. But I will be running D&D at Bradford Literature Festival on the 30th of July. That's a Sunday. So yeah, come on down, watch the game of D&D, join in the game of D&D, whatever you fancy. And it should be a fun time,
dude,
I am told.
Drew, I want to come hang out with you, dude. Are you kidding me, dude? Are you kidding me? I want to come do that. That'd be so cool.
Do it.
Man.
Plane tickets are cheap, right?
Wow.
Yeah, no, totally. Plane tickets are cheap.
Easy. So, sweet.
Yeah, if you are in the UK, if you're watching this back on YouTube or something, Bradford Literature Festival, go check it out. It's really good. Lots of good speakers.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, any other announcements?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okie dokie. In that
Not
case,
I don't announce things.
What?
I don't announce things. I don't use my words.
Oh no. Well, what'd
I'm
you
just
say?
the guy.
Oh,
we don't listen to Drew.
Notre Dame burned down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
No, we knew about that.
Okay.
One of my
nice.
friends was in there like the day before. He posted a few pictures of like the inside of Notre Dame, and then the next day it caught fire.
That's brutal. Yeah, dude.
Nah,
Blame
that
your
was
friend.
nuts.
Blame your friend. It was all his
Yeah,
fault.
it was probably his fault. Yeah, he's been known to cast burning hands inside of buildings.
Oh God.
Wait,
Alert!
that's a different
Dude.
friend.
Alert Macron. We have the culprit. All right. So, yeah. Back to what I was gonna do, which was roll these credits. Here we go. All right. Sick, dude. Good old thing. Really quick, Drew, I don't know if it was my bad or your bad. We actually have Eridu's old picture up instead of his new picture in that sequence.
That's
How terrible.
probably my fault.
Okay. We'll take care of it later. We'll take care of it later.
The artist
all-
that I
good.
commissioned for that piece is going to notice. She's going to write an angry letter to Drew.
Yep.
Get us shut down.
Oh God. Well, we'll fix it. No worries. So let's go ahead and transition to what we like to call group therapy, and also serves as a little bit of a recap from what happened in the previous session. And I usually start with Eigner, so I guess I'll start with Eigner and say that Eigner started off this whole episode with a sense of I want to say like urgency, but like righteous urgency. Like he remembers learning about this crazy mechanical super weapon a long time ago, it seems now. And back then he wanted to do something about it, but they were in a position where they were really not able to do much of anything. They didn't have any kind of reinforcements, any kind of resources. And somehow they're still kind of in that position. And Eigner, now having lost his sight, is in an even more difficult position of not having the necessary resources, perhaps. But he has the drive to want to do something about this super weapon now. So they heard about this secret test that was happening up in this northern island, and he's just down for it, and he's going. But in actual practice, it's been a lot of time spent on a boat, several boats, multiple boats, in very pitch black, freezing cold, dark, dank, like, yeah. So he's a little miserable, and just him in a boat is not a good thing, because he really relies on the ability to feel his connection to the ground and vibrations and everything, and just being in a boat is just kind of rocking him all over the place. So he's not feeling too good, but he is absolutely still up to the task. Yeah, so that's kind of where Eigner's at. Complicated.
Sweet.
Okay. Do you want me to go? I guess. I don't know. Thiala's. I don't know. She's doing pretty good. She's not so much. Yeah, she's doing pretty good. She's just doing her thing. You know, she's on mission. She has purpose. She has purpose at home, and she has purpose on this mission. She's overall just kind of in a pretty good place. There's no Halifax, so there's no possibility of emotional turbulence right now. So yeah, she's doing her thing, and yeah, I wish I had more to say. I think I'm trying to just dig through my brain and think of where she's at. She's, she's going in a different direction in her life. She's kind of going more martial, and that's about it.
All right. Well, Eridu is feeling exhausted. The rowing took a lot out of him. That exhausted him pretty quick.
Yep.
And then he fell in the water. Almost got himself eaten by the shrieking eel. Then he climbed into the little camp area, where he got into a fight with a flaming shadowy monster, which turned out to be a Remoraz that he actually kind of knew some stuff about.
For sure. And he kicked its
like
ass, dude.
They taste like crab meat. He punched its brain out of its body.
Yeah, dude, that was sick.
A legitimate thing that happened.
For real.
But yeah, after that fight, he rested, but didn't get a lot of good rest. Still suffering from the cold and the changing climate, and he is very much still exhausted. So I think that's really where his focus is at right now. Is that no matter what's going on emotionally further on, right now, he is forced into the here and now by the extreme conditions that he's in. What brought him here in the first place was his newfound search for On. And the last time he had seen Alton had chased after On through a portal. But that was just after they had discovered this mechanical dragon in the first place. And so this seems to be some kind of lead, however tenuous it may be, that might lead him towards finding On. That's all I got for that.
Cool.
All right. So we just finished a long rest, and we're in that little kind of area next to the Remoraz corpse.
Yeah.
Just chilling with the corpse.
Literally.
I love it.
So you guys have got to the island, which, if you recall, I described as being 3 miles in diameter, roughly. There's a lot of historical significance to this, which means that if anyone wants to see if they know of anything tactically significant, can make some history checks. With regards to the actions going forward, it seems that the obvious routes are to either climb back out of this cave, climb down the 20 feet sheer ice and stone back to your rowboat, and row to the north of this island where there's a set of shallows and the side of the island comes down, so that you could climb onto the island more easily. But that's also likely where the opposing force, or where the aasimar and the elves have landed to test this weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could try climbing up to the outside, or climbing up through this Remoraz hole. Those are the clear and obvious choices, but of course the options are down to you guys. But yes, we've had a long rest, with Eridu still feeling a bit exhausted.
Yeah. Well, Eigner is going to just kind of sullenly express to everyone else and say, I don't very much like our options right now.
No, they all seem very cold, damp, and dark.
Every one
I
of them,
don't think
yes.
that there's anything that's not going to be cold, damp, and dark.
Which
I think
is
that-
true, and I also don't like any of our options.
I think perhaps taking the craziest possible route, which is through this hole, is the best option, because what kind of crazy fucknuts would go through that giant creature to get at them? It's not something that I would necessarily fortify, because it's been fortified. And I can see farther than them in low light and in the dark, and so we get kind of double the surprise effect.
Well, it's the least ideal place in which to get into a fight, but it's possible that we killed the only thing that's in there.
Well, where else is a good? I don't know what's better option for which of these is a better option. I think this is the best of bad options, which I feel like is your guys' MO, is just provide me with a series of best of bad options and pick one, or bad options and I pick the best of the bad options, or we pick the best of the bad options.
We don't have a lot of good options. But in any case, I think a priority that we should focus on right now is securing this boat that we have and making sure that it doesn't, float away or get destroyed or anything like that.
I think this cavern is oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? Like where it's like you can fortress it.
Fortify?
Yeah. I think this cavern is very easily fortifiable. So if we bring the boat in, it should be safe.
All right. Well, in that case, Eigner brought a block and tackle, and he can try and get some kind of pulley system set up to hook down to the boat and
we have at least one climbing kit between the three of us, and some
I have a
rope.
climbing kit for sure. I can go down and lock the block and tackle on the boat.
Yeah.
You can lift us up, because if there's anyone pulling us upwards, it's not me.
Yeah. No, it's definitely Eigner that's going to be doing that.
Yeah. So I'll rappel down and go get go get bit.
Okay. So yeah, Drew, that's kind of our plan. I mean, it's up to you whether or not you want to make us roll through it or not. But we want to secure the boat in the cavern, bring it up into the cavern that we're in, and then also Eigner is gonna hope that the Remoraz corpse has cooled down enough over the 8 hours of sleeping and it being dead and missing a brain and all. And he's gonna try and just take the corpse and just grab the front and just go and just kind of take the whole thing and just pull it and then like have it slide out of the cavern into the ocean after we bring the boat back up.
I would at least take out the elements that we can use to fortify the cavern.
From the
So,
corpse?
Yeah, like
Cool.
so, like the claws and whatnot. Put them inside the walls and whatnot, so that way they like slow down the enemy. Like basically create some traps.
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
And then
Eridu can get to doing that since you guys are doing your things.
Okay. Eridu, I'd like to make a survival check for setting the traps. The what was the
7.
result? 7.
7.
Oh, of course you're at disadvantage with pretty much
Yep.
everything, aren't you? He is tired.
could I have given him bardic inspiration?
Yeah, I don't think
If-
there's any
I
issue with that.
forgot that he has disadvantage. I would have given it to him had I recalled.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's D8 now?
I believe so. Let me double check that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Sounds
D8.
about- That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, roll a D8, add it on.
Okay. 8.
Nice. Okay, so that's 50.
You roll it or I roll it, because mine would have been a 1.
Yeah, I roll it because I'm.
That inspiring. You're that inspiring.
Okay, so that's a 15 net result. That will be the DC for discovering and overcoming the traps. So you what just setting claws into the wall, but like try and keep them hidden so people get caught by them.
Yeah, like in the floor and in the wall, so that way, but keep them hidden so that way, like if any, like that way they can't. They basically like the bamboo shoots, like in Vietnam, where they would step and it would like dig into their legs, kind of situation.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Eigner pulling the corpse out, clearing the way. With regards to climbing, you guys will be able to climb. Since speed is normally 30 feet, it's difficult to climb vertically upwards. So that's halved, so it's roughly 15 feet. So it's about 150 feet a minute you'd be able to climb. So 150 feet.
I can acrobatics my way down.
I
Wait,
apologize. For some reason, I'm needing my calculator.
no, he's talking about for us climbing up the chute.
Yes.
He's
Well, no,
not
because
talking
I
about
would be climbing down and he would be pulling up.
No, he's talking about he's kind of fast forwarding. He's fast forwarding to us
Okay.
climbing up the tunnel. Right?
Yes. So
Oh,
Up
okay.
to the
I'm
rise.
saying-
yeah,
You're
the boat being in, I'm just having as a given.
Okay.
Essentially.
Secured.
Yes. So in an hour, you could, in theory, climb 9,000 feet. Since the 3/4 of a mile is only 3,960 feet, it will only take you guys an hour to climb.
An hour of climbing up a fucking dang
We will
ass
see
tunnel,
about
dude.
that.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh my
well,
God.
since it's only a third of the distance that you can cover, it's going to take you guys like 20-25 minutes to climb up. So it will be a single check that's required.
Okay.
So I'm gonna bardic inspiration.
Eridu.
Hey,
Eridu.
Kyle,
Hey.
you should give me the guidance too.
Oh, I mean, of course. Of course I will. Are you
And
kidding
we'll assist. Eigner and I will assist him with the climbing process.
me? Well,
And I do believe
Sure.
I get to
I
roll
mean,
the bardic
well,
inspiration.
I
to
mean,
do
the
this.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
yeah, I mean the way that yeah, so I'm giving him guidance, and the way that I'm going to assist him, it's not like I can just do anything other than the guidance on him necessarily.
But we can
it's like,
you and
but
I can tap on as we're climbing and
Well-
kind of like
well,
help
also I
him.
was thinking about just being below him. So if he fails badly enough and slips entirely, it's like I'm right below him to try and
Then
keep
I will go
Be
ahead
above
of
him.
him
Yeah.
and I will I will kind of keep a hand below me to keep him as taut as possible.
Okay, I'd say that that's enough to provide advantage, thus cancelling out his disadvantage.
Sweet.
So yeah, each of you make your strength athletics to climb the wall.
I got averages is averagely average. And it's a 17. Not bad.
Nice.
Not bad.
Thiala,
21.
21. Nice.
I rolled 18 on the die.
18.
Nice.
Holy shit! With all of these?
Nice.
We got a 13 roll, plus a 2 from the guidance, plus a 4 from the bardic inspiration, plus a -1 from my skill.
There you go.
Oh my god! I'm
There you
so
go.
glad that we went through that whole process to get you.
Yeah, dude.
Just for funsies, I rolled the other d20 and it was a 14, so I would have made it either way.
That's cool.
Word.
So as you guys are climbing during this 20 minutes, you can see above you the hole opening up. So you know that it opens up to the surface. Basically, it goes all the way to the top.
Right.
But there is a thick cloud that it seems to be opening up into. The light is diffused heavily, and you do notice the occasional pockmark as you're climbing up, inside which you can hear chirping sounds. And peering inside Thiala and Eridu, you're able to see that there are small, almost reptile-like birds. Not dragons by any stretch, but just birds with elongated beaks, teeth in them, and fewer feathers than you would otherwise expect, but still feathered. They have white plumage, and you notice that there is either steam or mist coming out of their mouths, but they're roosting much in the same way that bats do. But they seem undisturbed by your ascent.
How many
You
of
also-
them are there?
In each hole, there's about a half dozen, so it's like between 3 and 5, occasionally 6, in a hole. And the holes are fairly small. You could squeeze a house cat inside.
Okay.
Interesting. I'm gonna do a
Crush out of house goods.
I'm gonna do a perception check really quick just to start getting a good sniff going on, and I'm going to probably feel this kind of breeze coming in from the top, so I know that we're coming to the edge. So I'm just going to try and sniff up there and see if I'm getting any hits of anything like weird, you know. So that's going to be an 18 on the sniffer.
Right. I'm gonna need to make a. You do smell on the air. There is a strong stench of ale.
Interesting.
It's I say a strong stench of ale. It's something that you're able to pick up, but would probably be difficult to isolate out for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
You're also getting the smell of guano.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eigner will say something like, smells like someone's having a party up there.
As you continue your ascent, you see on the wall that you are climbing and on the rest of the circular tunnel at odd intersections, no regularity or pattern to it really, much larger holes, offshoots to this main tunnel leading to elsewhere on the island. Options to go, but most likely just other tunnels that the Remoraz used.
Okay.
Continuing on all the way to the top, you guys are just shy of the surface, and you can feel free to pop your heads over the top. You can successfully climb to the top and clamber on top if you like.
Well, Eigner is going to be the last up there.
So Thiala, you reach the top first.
Yes, I would reach the top first.
You just wanted to like climb up and help everyone else up?
I want to, I guess, do a perception check first and see.
Be my eyes, Thiala. Be my eyes.
And I do have, obviously, bear in mind, I do have 120 feet of dark vision, so.
You do. It will be with disadvantage because of all the mist.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey, and just to be clear, we kind of left like a little like home base setup in that little nook.
Yeah, your
over
tents.
there. We left
Yeah,
the
yeah,
tents.
so, yeah.
We have like a little fire like circle and everything. But yeah.
I'm not going to tie you down to what you've left behind yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, Eigner definitely took the bag of holding.
Oh, I'm done with that.
Mm.
Okay, so
Can't wait to rip.
I with disadvantage rolled a 19. I rolled a net 20 if you hadn't given me disadvantage.
Wow.
But I still rolled a 19
Wowzers.
with disadvantage.
Nice.
So
All right. What's that total?
that's the 19 total. It's 14 plus
Oh, right.
5.
I see. Okay, so holding for a moment when you've reached the top, you ready your ears. You can hear the wind howling above you. It seems like a gale storm happening, but enough above the island that you're not going to be blown and tossed about yourselves,
Right.
but that it's bringing in this cold wind. You can see frostfall piercing through the mist, and some of it starting to settle just in front of your eyes. But you don't see anyone nearby. But you do get the smell of ale. Seems distant, though.
Okay. Yeah, I guess stealth coming out of the hole and help them up, essentially.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you guys are all up out of the hole.
All up.
You can't see terribly far, but you are in a white snowfield. Behind you, you can see the dark silhouette to the south of the citadel that rests on this island. You see ahead of you to the north a massive hill rising up in the center of this island, essentially meaning that while a lot of the terrain is uneven, from any point on the island you can't see the other side, which works in your favor in this moment in time, because as far as you guys are aware, the other side doesn't know that you are coming. They just wanted to do a test, but it also means that you can't see them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Your
I bet we
vision-
rolled a 16 total on the stealth check, just so you know.
16 on stealth.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I rolled a 5 plus 11, but still.
All right. So
Should we all be stealthing along then?
Well, that was just
Well-
that's the process of me basically like lifting you guys up. I'm basically the idea that I have in my mind is that it's the process by with which I am carefully helping you guys out and keeping you low and kind of guiding you with making as little sight and motion and visibility as possible.
for sure. Cool.
Cool.
So so Eigner is not able to see any of this, obviously, and also I'm gonna kind of make this call of like this is still not the best environment for his senses. You know, I mean, like the wind, the cold, like everything is just kind of throwing him off, and also the snow really dampens his ability to be able to sense vibrations. You know, that's just kind of like making sense to me right now. But
Yeah.
but he still has this clue of this ale smell that's on the wind. So he turns to his allies and says that I smell ale, as if someone's having a party out here. And, you know, whomever actually lives out on this island, I imagine that they don't get to have a lot of ale. So if we're trying to find people who've come here recently, I think that I can probably follow this trail and lead us to someone.
What would I use? Okay, this is going to be weird. What would I use to determine whether it's ale or like something like a hard cider or some other alcoholic beverage with which would help them? They would use to warm themselves up.
I would say that this will be an intelligence-based perception check.
Okay.
So instead of wisdom, add your intelligence modifier.
For sure. And then I'm just doing a regular old perception check to try and get a lead and be able
Sort
to
of a direction.
follow.
Yeah.
Get a direction and have a place to start with.
Okay.
So with my
rather than perception, would you mind making that survival?
Me?
No,
me.
Eigner.
But,
okay.
But I get advantage on perception checks that are based on my smell sense.
Let's say because you are essentially tracking by smell, you'll get advantage on this.
Okay, cool. So I'll just keep this roll then.
Yeah.
And you said it's a survival?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I'm also dope at survival. That's awesome. So it's going to be 25.
And Thiala?
17.
17. This is definitely recreational booze. This is a cheap, easily transported ale, something that you're actually familiar with, and that Eigner and Eridu probably won't be. Thiala recognizes this as the really cheap, mass-produced ale that the mountain dwarves use for.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a PBR, pretty much, you know.
So I'm going to pass along that not only do we have on one side we have the we know that the elves and the aasimar are here, but then we also have a contingent of mountain dwarves.
And Eigner can sense that it is coming from the south, which is just a few hundred feet behind you in the citadel.
Oh. Okay, so Eigner will just simply point and say, that smell is coming from over there, and then he'll be pointing at the citadel that he has no idea is over there.
That would make sense that the mountain dwarves wouldn't need to use alcohol to warm themselves up, being that, well, they're mountain dwarves. This is the kind of environment that they would prefer. So it is good to know
dwarves out here. I thought we were expecting aasimar, elves.
We are, which says to me that this is perhaps not a test, but a attack, and perhaps an act of aggression that could lead to war.
Huh.
Such an extremely out-of-the-way location for hostilities.
It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense
What
at all.
seems likely to happen is that one side is developing a technology and the other side has understood that the technology is being developed and has laid out a combat contingency to put an end to it.
But did you not say that it was the aasimar and the elves that were developing the mechanical dragon?
Yes, and so I'm assuming the dwarves are here to stop that.
But if they're in a castle or a fortification, that means they're here.
Clearly, we have questions, to which we would like the answers.
I think our best bet is to go talk to the dwarves. At least I have an inn. And if they're in a fort, if it's their fort, then they're here. And as long as we don't tip our hand that there are aasimar and elves, we can avoid a conflict for now. Because one attacks the other, it's going to become a problem. These would both be considered currently neutral entities, and any attack would be an aggressive act of war.
Sure. I don't quite know what to think of it myself, but
so let's play the existence of this alliance, the Free States Alliance, close to the vest. We'll go talk to the dwarves. Again, at the very least, I might have an inn with some of them. We do need a cover though. We can't be showing up in the middle of nowhere without a reason.
Yeah. Why are we out here anyway? What do we tell them? What can we possibly tell them?
Yes, especially when you consider that elves and dwarves aren't always the most friendly towards each other, and humans don't seem to have a lot of regular dealing with them.
Wait. What if I was able to be a dwarf?
Are you able
think
to
that would help
yourself?
I really can't explain it very well right now, and I don't care to try to. But I've been blessed by Yorana. I've been given great gifts. I'm not exactly sure how to use them yet, but I feel like this might be a good moment.
I mean, if you're just talking about, this guy itself is a first level spell, man. Like that's entry level.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, that's just a spell, dude. Like, I don't know how to explain this to you. That's like, I can do that, but there's no point in me doing it.
I still don't know what you're talking about.
I
believe
Yorana
Yorana is so much greater than mundane magics.
We'll have a discussion about how you use these mundane magics later.
Explaining arcane casting to a divine spellcaster?
Yeah, I'll give you. Well, no, because I can learn. I learned both divine and arcane. I'll help you out. I've learned both divine and arcane mastery, so we'll work together.
Would it be helpful if I were able to appear as a dwarf?
Yeah, sure. You can totally do that. I mean, you'll have to be a tall dwarf, but I don't see why not. I mean,
I've seen crazier things.
Guy's self-spell, you're only able to shrink yourself so much. I mean, I could polymorph you into like a bird. I did that with Halifax.
Don't patronize me.
Okay.
Why don't we polymorph me? That'll get rid of the question for why you have an elf down here, up here, around here.
I hate to break it to you, Eridu. You do have a bit of your reputation being one of my soldiers.
I'm also known for having deserted.
True. That is true. It might be hard to explain the two of us together if you deserted. Okay. I'll polymorph you.
And these dwarves may not even know who I am.
That's a possibility. Not as likely, but a possibility. So I'm going to boop you. I'm gonna hold on. How far is the? What is the? Oh, it's a range of 60 feet. I am going to go ahead and cast it, and I'm gonna make you into something.
Maybe something that I can still attack with, like a bear or something like that,
Um.
or a seal, or a penguin.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we're up in here. Hold on, my options are so much greater.
Mm-hmm.
How do I? Let's see. What can I turn you into?
So yeah, Drew. When it comes to the appropriate time, I'll be using my domain spell, Disguise Self, making myself seem like kind of a taller dwarf than usual. Maybe I can make it look like he's just a dwarf that's wearing like very fancy high platform shoes or whatever, because you can also change what your clothes look like.
Well, how tall is Eigner?
Oh gosh, I mean like he's not like huge. He's just like your standard kind of like 6 foot ish like human. Like he's he's got a good build, but he's not
Not
like
tall for a human when the average human male height is 5'9".
Okay, well I don't know. He's not like a basketball player. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's
Yeah.
like he's just like a stocky kind of big chested dude. But anyway, so he can appear to be 5-ish feet. And
Right, which is still a tall dwarf.
Which is still a tall dwarf, but he can try and change some of the aspects of the clothes that he's wearing with the disguise to make it just seem like he's a dwarf in like some fancy clothes, fancy armor. Maybe that's a trend, dwarves and platform heels. Like you never know. You never know. So, yeah, just a couple of things about that. If you inspect my appearance, it's an intelligence investigation check against a 14 DC to be able to tell that I'm doing that. And then the final thing is that Eigner legitimately speaks Dwarvish. So he can be carrying on entirely in Dwarvish to make it more convincing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the max level that you can do for polymorph?
I don't know.
There's a scale, if I remember correctly.
Do you want me to look it up or what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not. It doesn't say it on the spell per se.
Hold on, I'm looking at polymorph now. It looks like fourth level is the only, like casting. Like you could use slots of higher level, but you don't get anything special for it.
I remember at some point that there was some kind of like really weird, like you could only have like CR, blah blah blah, but that doesn't matter. I guess we'll just fuck with it later.
Right. Yes. The challenge rating or what particular form it was.
Equal to or less than the target's level.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So I'm level 8, so that's fine. There's no more than
Target's level, my level. The new form can be any beast whose challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's level.
Oh, okay. Well, you're still.
So
Don't
you're
have a
level
challenge
9. So you could be a challenge
So I'm level
rating 9 or
9, so
less.
CR 9 or less.
Right. Okay.
That's pretty dope.
Here we go. Polar bear. I'll make you a polar bear.
Cool.
Because nothing else is like everything that would be this like cold weather is like. I mean, is like a swimming creature. So because otherwise it's like basically dinosaurs. So I'm gonna make you a polar bear. So, or yeah, because otherwise it's a giant shark or a hulking crab. I'm pretty sure you don't want to be a giant shark or a hulking crab.
Dude, I would love to be a giant shark, but that wouldn't do us any good.
That wouldn't do us any good right now. Okay, so yeah, I will make you a polar bear.
Do it halfway. Just have a
Alright.
shark head.
Polar bear shark? Giant bear shark.
All right.
Or I could turn you into an ice spider queen.
Okay, so
While-
we got
Eridu's
a
always wanted to be a
polar
queen.
bear. As we get closer, Eigner will make the transformation into a fancy dwarf lad.
Right.
And
As you guys were discussing things and working out your plan of action, you can feel the biting cold start to seep through the gaps in your clothing. Your clothes are sufficient to stave off the worst effects, but you are certainly starting to feel the cold. It is almost unholy how cold it is.
I'm assuming we're going to need to do a check.
No, your warm clothing sufficiently passes the check automatically for you. There's nothing else.
Long-term exposure will be the fucking bad news, essentially.
Right. Just so you know, if I feel like we're getting cold enough that a check is going to need to happen, just let me know to give Eridu a bardic inspiration if I have one left.
Yes. Okay, you guys start moving towards the citadel. Are you presumably just brazenly out in the open walking towards it?
Yeah, I mean, there's no point in not doing that. Like, we're going there as a party approaching them. We're not like...
What's everyone's passive perception again, sorry?
15.
Well, mine is 21 if it's based on my applicable senses.
Let's see. I believe mine changes because of my form, so I'm going to say 13.
Okay. As you are walking along, your shoes crunching into the snow that is still falling through this mist, Eigner, just as you're getting within range of the citadel, and Eigner can feel the change, the wind being blocked by this massive stone fortress, something feels off, although Eigner can't quite put his finger on it. Then
13.
13?
13 for the polar bear.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I said that.
Okay.
And then, as you're nearing the steps up to the citadel's front door, Eigner then realizes that there is something shifting nearby.
I'm gonna look to them and say, on the alert. We're not alone.
At that, figures will rise up from the snow and throw off these tarps that were snow-covered, crossbows in hand, pointed at you. There are 4 mountain dwarves
Oh, yeah, for sure.
in heavy armor. They are 20 feet from you on either side. They were hiding under the snow.
Can I make a slight little addendum to my disguised self where I'm like, I look like a particularly aged dwarf?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I kind of just kind of step forward and say, "Ho, my mountain brothers."
What you do around here, like?
We were in the neighborhood for. We were asked to bring back the hide of a creature, and knowing that your fort was in the neighborhood, we figured we'd stop by, get a good beer to drink, and maybe out of the cold for a little bit.
Yes, yes, and by the way, yeah, just to remind you, I'm speaking in fluent Dwarvish and trying to affect this old dwarf kind of way of speaking. Yes, it is very hard for an old one like myself to be out in the cold for so long. To feel the warmth of the hearth warming up these old bones.
You may not have
Also
noticed,
in Dwarven.
but you seem to have a bit of a fluffy thing following you.
Oh, this is
him?
This is my beast companion.
Bartholomew.
He is the reason why we were tasked with hunting, or we were hired to hunt creatures in here is because of my familiarity with the northern reaches of the area. I'm able to, I do have a lot of experience to the point where I have befriended, and I scratches like underneath his chin, my friend here.
Oh, Bartholomew his bark is much worse than his bite. You see.
I'm gonna bare my fangs.
I would like Thiala to make a persuasion check, please.
Not deception.
Well, in fact, yes, deception.
We are lying.
Very good.
we are
That's a very good
we are
point.
certainly lying.
25.
Bartholomew.
The doors at the top of the stairs fly open. These huge oaken doors with ancient hinges, as they fly open, a blast of warm air gushes out and flows down the stairs. A cape billows out, and this gruff, ancient dwarf, this pepper grey beard flowing about in the wind, a halberd in hand which he stamps into the stone. Is that Thiala like?
Yes, it is.
By my beard! And he throws the halberd to the side, stamps down the stairs with his arms open wide, and it goes to embrace you.
I'm gonna put my hand on his head unless I recognize him.
This will be an old war friend.
Okay.
Of yours.
Then
someone
I will embrace him. Well, I mean, I have been in many wars and I have killed many people. There's not all of them were, or some of them were a part of enemy armies, or I mean, allied armies. So it's not like I would be guaranteed to be a welcome presence. No, if he's an old war buddy, then I'm going to match his hug, and even like attempt to lift him up a little because I'm slightly bigger than him.
Yes. As you do, you realize that he's put on quite a bit of weight since the last time you saw him, and his beard has a lot more grey in it from the pitch black that it used to be.
I do not pick him.
Yeah.
I rolled a 2 minus 1. I do not pick him up.
Still trying to grab things that your strength can't manage, eh, Thiala? Oh.
I'm always grabbing something.
He smacks your tummy with the back of his hand as his attempt at a shoulder tap.
Right. I got you.
A new friend. I don't think I recognize your hairs.
Oh, not many people recognize an old wizened dwarf such as myself.
I do apologize for this old man. He is near death's door and is very enfeebled and weak and sick.
Everyone tells me I'm
especially
daft.
knowing the hardy mountain dwarves who are the strongest in the world, even near death. And I kind of like a little that little shade is at Eigner specifically.
You wouldn't have a pint for an old man, would you?
Well, as he turns to just turn away from you and start climbing the stairs, he waves a hand at the other soldiers who quickly nestle back down into the snow and pull the tarps back over them, back into position. He goes to pick up his halberd, slams it into the stone again, this time with such force that a spark flies out. And you notice that the bottom of the halberd has been capped with quite a bulbous metal end It's almost like he's tried to add a mole to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Getting creative.
You're all welcome inside, lads. What I'll do, though, is make sure we get a bowl or something for your bear there. It's not something you see all together, like.
Bartholomew.
Why don't he can stay in the stables?
No.
Give him some raw meat and he'll be fine.
No, Bartholomew must stay with me. He is...
Hey,
That seems ridiculous to have a polar bear wandering around the castle. So we'll let him be comfortable. He won't eat the horses, I promise.
I'm afraid I'm gonna need to disappoint you there, Thiala. Ain't no stables here. It's a mighty small island.
Okay.
Bartholomew is but a small thing, no more than a fuzzy dog.
I'm like trying to make myself seem smaller in response to this.
Be small, what you feeding him like?
Leave it up to you, old friend. You can decide what my not doggy will where he will go.
Oh, Bartholomew and I get along just fine. Just fine.
I shoot Eigner more shade.
I can't see it. I can't see it.
A little side eye.
And even
I'll put on my most convincing bear grin.
and
Just reveals a bunch of sharp teeth.
And even with the disguise that Eigner has, it's obvious that he's still blind. Like, he's got that kind of, like, milky white kind of thing going on with his eyes where they're just obviously, like, not working anymore. He just looks like a dwarf, an old dwarf that's knocking on death's door. All he wants is to sit next to the fire, have an ale, and pet his little dog, who's actually a polar bear.
Maybe he
Don't
doesn't know
be getting
that.
in, like. It's getting mighty nippy out there.
We don't have to tell an old man like me twice.
I mean, I'm glad that my employer is hamming it up so much. We would enjoy to have a beer or two.
Coming in. I'm a bit worried about prying eyes, like, too. As he wanders in, he raises his halberd up and marches in while holding it up, and he shouts out the battle cry, "Why aye!" The rest of the dwarves all repeating it back in chorus, "Why aye!
Why I? Why I?
So yes, this gentleman's name is Daroon.
Daroon. Okay, hold on. Let me spell that for me.
Doroon.
Doroon.
Yep.
Come on, buddy. Give me. There you go. There we go. Daroon. Okay. I for the first time have an ally, so I needed to make sure that I did not forget my ally's name.
Okay, so the idea with this one is like try and get as much like relevant plot information out of this dude as possible, and then sneak out of there while we're still a polar bear and an old dwarf man.
I'm going to assume that I'm going to burn another 4th level to keep at around the end of the hour to keep my polar bear going.
I also have another spell slot that I could use on my other disguise self if need be, but I think the objective should be to try and get information from this dude as quickly as we can.
Information we'll get.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm expecting to burn a 2nd spell slot.
In that case, someone will take the lead, either Thiala or Eigner, and the other will provide an advantage die. But I'm going to ask for a charisma-based investigation check.
Well,
Gee, I wonder who should be doing that.
well, I mean, it's definitely going to be Thiala, and I mean, definitely Eigner's going to go for the assist, and he's going to try and be subtle about it, like in this way where like Thiala will be asking questions, and then very occasionally Eigner will just pop in with like, "Oh dear, what about the other thing.
Will he be providing guidance to Thiala by way of
of course, and you know, it's like it's a touch spell, right? So he's got to like go to touch her shoulder and just be like, "My dear, I think you did forget to ask about the," and then he'll give a little boost to guidance. So, yeah.
All right, make that roll.
Add that D4.
30 total.
Damn.
30 total.
Yeah, it's a nat 20 plus 8 plus the 2 guidance.
Hot diggity, dude.
So as you guys are brought in, you see that in the center of the main hall is a massive fire pit. Despite ice clinging to the walls, there are a bunch of dwarves all huddled around this fire. A few others walking on the balconies on the floor above. You see that there's a rough contingent, given the disposition and the size. Thiala reckons that there's about 30 dwarves total, and you can see about a dozen of them, if you include the 4 that were outside.
Right.
Darun. Sorry, go on.
After Eridu squeezed his way through the door, he would have charged up to the fire and just pushed some of the dwarves out of the way to just make room by the fire, where he just starts chewing and licking at the fur at the bottom of one of his paws.
Oh my god.
That's the worst dad joke ever.
The dwarves seem quite taken with Eridu. They offer little scraps of food and try to see if there's some trick that Eridu can do. So some of them trying to offer food and then taking it away until you do a thing, but they're not going to let you starve. But they're toying with Eridu. Is there anything that Eridu does, or does he sort of wait until they give him the food?
He will at first try to take the food from them, and that you offer the treat, and then he opens his mouth and goes in that direction, and they pull it away. And then at a certain point, when he gets annoyed, he'll just reach out and grab it from them, and then sit down on his back end and just start munching on whatever it is that they're feeding him.
They're all thoroughly amused. Meanwhile, Thiala and Darun take a brief walk around the hallway while Darun goes and checks a couple of people and whispers into the rear. He's very reluctant to share things. He even mentions directly to Thiala that he shouldn't share anything with her, despite being a good friend, that this is a mission of utmost secrecy. But
I assure him that I am not here to uncover his secrets. And anything that he says here, he knows that I am trustworthy to not share anything. He feels the need to let me know.
He escorts Thiala and Dwarf Eigner up to one of the turrets outside. And as the cold wind starts blasting your faces again, you see the snow settling down below. You can see the hill cresting out of the mist. He stares out and lets you know a few details that help to fill in some of the blanks that you've picked up just by observing and seeing what's going on, putting together context clues. You know, Thiala, 'twas a day when things were simple. I quite liked them days. But no more. Everything's all this skullduggery. Oh, it's more your wheelhouse than mine. Me and my boys here, we're here for a bit of a test. We're just here to see what the new toys we've been given how they fare against the new toys some other folks have done. Best to stay here for a day or so. I understand that come dawn tomorrow, there'll be some loud bangs and a lot of activity towards the center of the island. That's where we'll be heading out. It's also where it'll be quite dangerous. If you're hunting for something, I imagine it'll steer well clear.
You put quite a bit of emphasis on you've been given. Is there someone else that you are testing your you're testing your new weapons against or with?
Them folk from across the way. Ancient grudges and things starting to stir up again. I'm sure you've noticed a thing or two. But they decided to push forward on a new technological marvel, a weapon that could devastate us all. Our boys cooked up something ourselves, and while they came here to test it in private, we're going to go and crash the party, test our own stuff against theirs, and see what shakes loose. We have an insider on their side, you see, someone who's informed us, kept us apprised of what's going on. Should be a simple case of springing the trap, having a bit of a scuffle, and then everyone gets out in time for tea.
Huh. Interesting. I think... Would you like me to perhaps go over there and... Or would you mind if I went over there? And you know me, I can stay quite hidden. Would you mind if I go check out this other side? You know, I have no love lost for the elves. And the aasimar are too pretty for my own good.
You'd ruin them, Thiala. Ruin them.
Well, I ruin lots of men.
Aye. You know what? Being abandoned in a foxhole like this for a week, I'm glad I bumped into you. Aye, on you go. See what you can find out. Take your bear with you. I'm sure he'd like the exercise, but make sure you all stay hidden now. I wouldn't want you to get shot full of arrows.
I promise you that, well, you should know by now, if I don't want to be seen, I don't get seen.
Where were y'all having this conversation again? Was it still right next to where I was?
Yeah, you came.
He escorted you up to the turret outside.
Oh, okay.
It's just Eridu who's not hanging out.
So Thiala and Eigner are both party to this conversation.
For sure.
Right.
Well, Eigner...
so I didn't hear the tea thing.
No.
Unfortunately.
Correct. I let that slide.
Eridu's ears still perk up at some point. He's got a sixth sense for knowing when someone is talking about tea.
Well, Eigner occasionally, just shows some serious concern for, like, the kinds of things that are being discussed and, drops a little bit of a, oh, my. oh dear, oh heavens, no, that kind of stuff. And then eventually he just kind of looks over in the direction where Eridu would be, and he says, "Come now, Bartholomew, we must take you outside for your little tinkle." So does Eridu come running?
Are you guys coming down from the turret?
Once I finish having a conversation, ensuring that I give us time to leave, like leave being out of eyesight of the fortress before the polymorph drops, before the hour pops up. I'll make sure that I give it around that time, but I'll talk to Darun, catch up with a little bit for a while, and then just kind of like.
And Eigner will go fetch you.
If Eigner comes and fetches me to go outside and take a piddle, I'm going to lift him up by the back of his.
Be careful with that.
The scruff of his neck.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't do that.
Because disguise self doesn't really hold up to physical interaction very well.
Yeah.
Well.
Come now, Bartholomew, stop being a bear.
Then I'll start nudging him out of the door.
Begrudgingly, one of the soldiers near the door opens it slowly, but is keeping a firm hold in it to quickly shut it and keep the cold out.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Other things that you will have gathered during this interaction, Thiala and Eigner, is that the weapons in question are being stored in the basement level, in the dungeons of
that
the
citadel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That these people have only been here for about a week, that they don't have a permanent contingent here.
Okay.
And so they are here purely for the weapons test.
Right.
And that the weapons that they are testing are things that won't require the dwarves to be on the battlefield for.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I would be wearing my I think 3 pistols, actually. Let me double check that. Oh, and my musket. I would have my musket and my I think I only have 2. Maybe I stand corrected. Maybe I only have 2. Yeah, I only have my 2 pistols and my musket on my back. Would he make a comment about that in relation to this conversation?
I am terribly sorry. I got distracted by physical chat stuff.
Oh,
say again?
Because I'm carrying. I have 2 pistols, kind of double holstered, one on each side, and I have my musket on my back. Would he make any? And I can make an insight check. Would he either say something directly, or would he make a kind of motion or indication that it has any kind of relation to my weaponry? You want me to make an insight check?
Yeah, give me an insight check. He will say something out loud as well, but let's...
Insight, 21. Oh, no, sorry, 19.
19. Okay. He does remark on them and says that they're obviously of good craftsmanship, and he's surprised that you managed to get some, as he's requested some and they haven't been issued to him and his men yet.
Right.
Jelly.
I'll mention I have connections. I'll just say all I say is I have my connections.
Something that he does remark, though, is that as much as crossbows and these new things are all well and good, and the new weapons that they're going to be testing will certainly bring victory, he laments that the smell of the blood of your enemy hanging in the air inches from your face as you've cleft him in twain is not something that he would ever want to get rid of.
I say that there will that no matter how much I'll mention basically to the effect of no matter how much how far away technology takes us from the battlefield or takes us away from each other, there is no good substitute for a blade in somebody's guts.
You guys are brutal, dude.
You haven't seen the side of Thiala yet.
Oh god, no, I haven't.
You have not seen War Buddies Thiala yet.
Not in.
He reaches up to try and tap Thiala on the shoulder, and just sort of like gets her middle back. But he then sort of moves his hand down slightly as he turns away. You can tell that he's aged quite a bit, and you're able to read that he's a little distant now. He confides in you that his son joined up with the military, a great honor for him, but alas, he was cut down on a scouting mission in the lands far to the east. Nothing to do with the brewing conflict. But as much as he enjoys the thrill of combat, he does now find himself torn. That there are times where he relishes the thrill of battle, and other times where it begins to remind him of his son.
I will reassure him that, well, if he does, that's okay, and she'll give him the wink. She'll she'll kind of like, I guess, reassure him with the honor of a sacrifice for a dwarf. You know, in combat, it is better for a dwarf to die in service of his people than of the Empire than it is sick and in an old bed like his employer or like her employer.
Maybe a hint that part of the reason why the employer's out here is because he's hoping for a noble death.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, she'll do
that. He simply throws Thiala a knowing look, confirming it, and then heads back inside to the warmth.
Okay.
So, sorry. I was just gonna mention that we should be breaking pretty soon. Yeah.
As you guys are brought inside, and with Eridu and Eigner going outside briefly, Thiala will be able to see. She descends the stairs that they're already heading out. You guys have had a couple of hours to sort of rest and recuperate. Thiala notices. Sorry?
We'll short rest later.
Yeah. Thiala notices one of the dwarves bringing in something to the campfire, saying in thick dwarvish that this one seems to have frozen up, and that perhaps this wasn't the best time, the best place to test these things, and starts bending the hinge of an artificial leg, looking exactly like those of the Warforged in the ship that Thiala burned down some time ago.
I do not know Dwarvish, but I can at least recognize the Warforged.
Definitely.
Right.
That's what we'll break.
While outside, Eridu is sniffing at the air, trying to see what smells he can pick up, and then having headed outside for the promised pee break, he
have a tinkle
parks himself precariously close to some of the dwarves that are dug in, and pees right on top of where their little hideout is at.
That's your closing line?
We're gonna end with Eridu peeing on some dwarves.
No, I mean, like, you did this special little message and said, I want to give the closing line, and I was like, yeah, get right on it, dude. And then, like, that's what you wanted to do? Like,
yeah, okay, I wanted to end on something silly. Now, don't judge me.
Okay,
cut this out of the YouTube video so I don't look so stupid.
No promise of that one.
I can promise you that it won't be cut out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So in that case, I think we're just about ready for our break, y'all.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna go take ourselves a short break.
Yep.
A short rest.
Short rest. Not as long as a short rest usually is.
Oh, damn it! I'm getting my editions mixed up.
Damn it, Asa. All right. Hey, thanks
See
so
you guys in 10 to
much.
15.
Yeah, 10 to 15 minutes. Come back, and we'll see out the rest of this session. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday. It's Roll for Mischief time, and we'll have plenty more coming up.